I'm Teisha Bader with Shalom TV's news update for Friday, April the 26th, 2013. The Association for Asian American Studies, or AAAS, has decided to boycott Israeli academic institutions, reportedly becoming the first U.S. academic institution to do so. At its annual conference in Seattle last week, the group's general membership unanimously voted in favor of a resolution that accuses Israeli universities of being complicit in violations of international law by the Israeli government and also of discriminating against Palestinian students and academics. Scholars for Peace in the Middle East, or SPME, a U.S.-based nonprofit fighting anti-Israel bias in academia, condemned the AAAS's decision. They released a statement saying SPME deplores the AAAS resolution as it is counter to any acceptable academic discourse and is contrary to the search for peace between Israelis and Palestinians. According to their website, the Asian Studies Group, founded in 1979, seeks to advance the highest professional standard of excellence in teaching and research in the field of Asian American studies. Their academic boycott is one of the more recent efforts of the BDS, or Boycott, Divestment, and Sanctions movement that seeks to delegitimize the State of Israel. And we continue to follow the issue of prayer at Jerusalem's Western Wall today. Yesterday, we reported to you that a Jerusalem district court had ruled that the women of the wall should not be arrested for praying aloud or wearing prayer shawls at the holy site, which was seen as a legal victory for the group, which has been fighting for women to pray freely at the wall for many years. Several Jewish groups today here in the U.S. welcomed the court's decision. The Union for Reform Judaism's president, Rabbi Rick Jacobs, said the group was encouraged by the ruling and said, "We expect local authorities to respect the court's decision and let non-Orthodox Jews pray at this holy site according to their own customs without fear of police detention or restraint." Hadassah, the Women's Zionist Organization of America, said yesterday that the ruling shows that progress is continuing and that Israel remains a leader and champion of women's rights. They also expressed hope for Jewish Agency head Natan Sharansky's recent plan to create a permanent second prayer section at the Western Wall that would be egalitarian. Sharansky reacted to the Women of the Wall ruling yesterday as well, saying that the court's decision and reactions to it only strengthened the need for a sustainable, agreed solution, which will allow every Jew to feel at home at the wall. Sharansky was likely referring to the not-so-positive recent statements of Western Wall Rabbi Shmuel Rabinowitz. Rabinowitz had initially said that Sharansky's plan at the wall, while not ideal, was something he could live with. However, the Jerusalem Post reports that the rabbi's tone seems to have hardened. Following meetings with Orthodox rabbis in North America, whom Rabinowitz said opposed Sharansky's proposal, and in the wake of the Women of the Wall's court ruling. Rabinowitz said yesterday that he would not allow the slightest deviation from what is and has been customary at the wall for decades, and that any change would face strong opposition. He didn't specify whether Sharansky's expansion plan would qualify as such a deviation. And in regards to the Women of the Wall ruling specifically, Rabinowitz said he would turn to Israel's Attorney General's office to examine the consequences and implications of the ruling. Well, 2013 marks the centennial year for the Anti-Defamation League, and they are celebrating by kicking off a special summit and gala this Sunday to mark the milestone. The ADL Summit runs through Wednesday in Washington, D.C. It will address several topics, including the road to immigration reform, anti-Semitism in America, and counterterrorism in light of the recent Boston bombing attacks. Featured speakers at the summit include Senior Advisor to President Obama Valerie Jarrett, U.S. Attorney General Eric Holder, and Israel's Ambassador to the U.S. Michael Oren. The theme of the ADL's 100th year is Imagine a World Without Hate. And they have also released a video campaign which imagines a world without racism, homophobia, or anti-Semitism. A world in which violence, hate, and bigotry did not take the lives of such figures as Anne Frank, Martin Luther King Jr., and Daniel Pearl, and imagines what the world would be like had they lived. The ADL says that while celebrating 100 years of fighting bigotry and fostering respect, they are celebrating their successes, but they are also recognizing that there is a long way to go to achieve the reality of a world without hate. And finally, thousands of Jews, including several Israeli citizens, arrived on the Tunisian island of Djerba today for an annual pilgrimage to the local synagogue there, the oldest in Africa. The pilgrimage is made every year for the holiday of Lag BaOmer, which marks the 33rd day of the counting of the Omer, the days between the holidays of Passover and Shavuot. Security had been increased on the island in anticipation of the pilgrimage, which has dwindled in recent years because of several anti-Semitic incidents and recent political turmoil in the region. However, Jews are returning to the island to visit the ancient El Ghariba synagogue, which is thought to date back to 586 BCE. Lag BaOmer is this Sunday. And that's Shalom TV's news update for Friday, April the 26th, 2013. I'm Teisha Bader. Shabbat Shalom.